Gentlemen, it is the big one. Officially, we have our first guest that isn't me, Griffin, or Greg. Welcome to Two Pieces of Toast, my good friend Braxton. How are you?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just woke up, had some of that alpha brain shit from Joe Rogan. I feel like I'm like got an entire hive of bees in my brain just buzzing really
Hell yeah.
fast.
How do you like that stuff, man? I've seen it a million times, but I haven't tried it yet.
So this is actually the first day I tried it. I figured I would just go balls to the wall and take a little bit of psilocybin and a little bit of alpha brain and just mix the two and see
Ooh.
what's going on, what's happening in the
Super
world.
trip, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I'm like,
How's the how sorry, but how's
hey,
the rest of you doing? Like are you wheezy or queasy? Sorry.
so I like read up on all the side effects before I did any of this, and I was like, so whenever you read reviews of something, I found the best thing to do is read the worst reviews first, because typically it's going to be
Definitely.
filled with like someone who genuinely had a bad experience and then a bunch of people who are just haters. So I looked for the bad experience ones, and every single one of them said the same thing. They were like, "This stuff was way too strong for me. It made me very nauseated, excuse me." And they would just talk about how strong it was, and I didn't see a single one that was like, "This stuff is weak. It doesn't work." It was all like, "This stuff is making me fucking like trip balls, pretty much, but not necessarily trip, but just buzz like I'm on 4 cups of coffee." And
Yeah.
so I went to the actual website, and it was like a good way to counteract the side effect of nausea is just to eat before you take it, like any sort of supplement or medication. So I made a fucking fat ass bowl of oatmeal and some toast, 2 pieces of toast. No pun intended. That's why I named the podcast this, by the way, because I have 2 pieces of toast every morning.
Heck
It's a
yeah.
weird tradition that started, like, a couple weeks ago. I just, like, um, I got on the scale. I had a kid recently. You both know that.
Yeah.
Um, Before I had the kid, I weighed about 165 pounds, and I was in pretty decent shape. I was running and stuff. I had the kid and then sat in the
The
bed
kid.
for 3 or 4 months, literally, and then went up to 178 pounds, and it was straight beer gut, 13 pounds of beer gut. And so then
Hell yeah.
I was like retrospectively thinking like, what else contributed to the fact that I'm a fat fuck now? And I looked back and I was like, oh my god, I only eat fucking cereal and fast food and beer. And I was like, okay, I need to fucking get my shit together. So I fasted for 2 days, and then I started just having 2 pieces of toast every morning for breakfast, and then I wouldn't eat until like late that night. And then one day,
Hell yeah.
me and Griffin, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I just remember saying 2 pieces of toast, and I was like, "Damn, that'd be a good name for a podcast. I should do that." And I here
Yeah.
we are. It's
I
And
just
was
here
gonna
we
bring that
are.
up that that's how the name came about too, was we were just talking one day and it was just like, man, every day I just have my 2 pieces of toast now. It's my daily dose. Like, that'd be a good name for a podcast. That's real simple.
which I
Yeah.
like I kind of researched into it a little bit, and there's like a lot of podcasts with the name toast in it. There's like avocado toast
Yeah.
and burnt toast and all kinds of stuff that I was not previously aware of before making this. So maybe we can have some sort of toast conglomerate at some point. We'll just do like a
A
like
toast convention.
yeah, toast convention. We'll just meet up.
Oh,
Everybody's dressed as giant pieces of toast.
hell yeah.
Bring your own bread. I hear you.
Your own bread.
Mass bars.
Uh,
Buddy, since you moved from up here in our little corner pocket of Tennessee, how's life
yeah.
been treating you?
Man, it's been crazy. It's been fucking busy, dude. I moved back. I ended up getting like a basic ass sales job at a car dealership. I hated the fuck out of 12-hour days, so I ended up quitting there and I started my own real estate company. That's what I've been doing since then, man. It's been
Holy shit.
crazy.
That's fucking awesome. I was hoping you would talk about that on the podcast because
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so interested in like accumulating real estate, and I'm one of those people that has looked into like 3 or 4 different facets of real estate. So buying and
Yeah.
developing land, Airbnb real estate, buying and flipping houses. I
Yeah.
think it's all got so much application. I think the scariest thing though that anyone can do is just buy a single home, like their first home,
Oh,
and then just sit in it
absolutely.
forever.
Hell yeah.
But
So my suggestion for like first getting into real estate, it's called wholesale. It has the lowest barrier to entry, takes literally no money, and you're not really putting anything at risk, and you don't need a license for it. So
beautiful.
Basically all it is, man, and there's a million and one different ways to, like, start out with it. I'll go into how I do it in a minute, but, like, the basic concept is you find a distressed property, you skip trace the owner, and you get it under contract for 70% of the market value, and then you just turn around and you actually sell that contract to an investor who closes on the property and you cash out. You can work in, I mean, anything from a 5,000 up to a $100,000 fee. I mean, on average, my fee right now is 16,500.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
That's
man,
beautiful.
and now, so the way that I kind of set up like the business that I run, I actually work with like hedge funds and private equity firms, and I wholesale them deals, but market ready deals. They'll pay over 110% of what the property's actually worth. And I mean, I can cash out almost 20 grand on houses over market value right now.
And it's only gonna get like from the current right now. It's a really solid seller's market because
Yeah,
my fiance and I are both looking for a house. Um, I
it's
really want to
brutal.
say like crossing my fingers that some sort of recession does happen just so we can get a cheap ass house. But I
Oh, it's
feel like
coming.
yeah, but even so, the way that
So
you're doing this, I don't feel like you'll ever have a shortage of business or a shortage of
Definitely, yeah.
because even if it is a seller's market right now, you guys are having no problem just out here flipping fucking houses.
Yeah,
Whereas when it becomes a
exactly.
buyer's market, it's just the profits may drop a little bit, but the volume may increase exponentially.
So that's the other thing is when it flips back over and the market falls, I have, I mean, altogether over 100 buyers and like the traditional flip investors, even after the market drops, man, I mean, they'll still pay like the
fair
traditional
price.
yeah, like they'll still pay that traditional wholesale fee. So I mean, it'll be bad for the common person, and it might be kind of fucked up to say this, but for me, it's only gonna get better. Like, it doesn't matter if it keeps rising or if it falls drastically. I kind of put myself in a position where it's like these hedge funds will pay for the high price houses, but the smaller investors will pay for the absolute war zone properties.
In terms of an equation, there's the basically most of the equation, and then afterwards there's your fee. That's a after bracket plus whatever. So it's not so
Yeah,
much that you're affected by. Well, you technically are just by supply and demand. If no one buys houses, then it's going to be rare. But
yeah,
the the chances of that happening, there's always going to
yeah,
be people changing houses. There's
yeah.
always going to be people moving, and
And the thing
I
about
work in. Go ahead.
oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, the thing about that is because I was gonna shoehorn. Go ahead.
Oh, so the thing about wholesale is you can literally do it virtually, which I'm in 25 different markets. So I'm not just in Chattanooga. I can literally pay $1 for a list of 100 distressed properties. And I've got cold callers. I just send it over to them. They're in the Philippines, literally less than $4 an hour. They'll call and qualify the leads. And then I just send out contracts. You don't even have to be in the market. So there's literally never a shortage. You can do it in the US, Canada. I mean, one of my
Mm.
biggest markets is, Miami. Miami, Tampa, Atlanta, Nevada, LA. Those are huge markets, and, I mean, I've never touched foot in LA or Las Vegas.
So to touch on Canada real quick, that might not be possible for very much longer. Excuse me. Actually, just this month, I believe it was the 5th. Our head of state. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't want to
Understand.
get demonetized. But regardless, he just put up this Canadian Real Estate Association reported on it as well. But it's basically a legislature that bans foreign property buyers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's some
Yeah.
cocksucking bullshit,
So,
man.
well, the way around that is I'm not technically a buyer, so when I approach people, which I mean, I do have capital to buy the properties if I have to, but in Canada specifically, to avoid that issue, I approach it as I am marketing their property. So instead of charging a real estate wholesale fee, I charge a marketing fee to the buyer.
Genius.
Okay.
Dude, that is one thing I was gonna say. Working that little bit of time we did get spent together, Braxton, I noticed you are the man for fucking loopholes.
Oh yeah.
And I actually picked up a lot from you in that regard, just from that little bit of time we did spend together. I took a lot of that knowledge of loopholes, and I figured out they're rampant.
Yes,
they're
everywhere.
ubiquitous in every single market you will find
Yes.
loopholes.
And you can
And that's another thing,
capitalize.
like you were saying earlier, like you're like, this is kind of fucked up to say, but it's bad for the common man. That's not fucked up to say because you're the one that's doing the work. You're the one that's putting in the time. I hate when people get mad because other people make more money than them. Like
Yeah.
you can't feel slighted because you feel entitled to the same amount of money as someone else
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
didn't do the same amount of work. Now,
yeah,
the other side of that coin, someone who was born into money, yeah, you can feel a little slighted, but then again, you can't because your parents didn't do the fucking work. Their parents did. So you can't be mad at them because their parents worked
yeah.
harder than yours did. You
Yep.
should be like, yo, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, fucking auntie, uncle. What the fuck, man?
What the
Why,
fuck?
why are we poor as shit? Why did y'all do anything?
Excuse me, mom, why is our
And
house 900 square feet? What the fuck?
Mom,
it's gonna be
why the
awkward when they
fuck did I break up with
retort with
roaches
something
again?
like
Yeah. Well, we
like
might
the actual
move.
point of your family getting fucked to a point where you are in that situation now. Like I'm sure there's a road path to that. I don't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that would be if you went to certain houses around here and were just like, "Hey, why are you poor?" you get hurt real
Oh
Yeah,
bad.
I'd
yeah.
probably try to
Yeah.
stab you because they don't have too many. Actually, it's funny. I know I make jokes about nobody in Canada having guns, but like four of the like 10 people I know in Canada have firearms. They're also highly illegal, and the people I do know that have them are like just blatantly breaking the law as often as possible.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like just a few days ago, I guess weeks now, there was a shooting a couple roads down from mine, and it
Yeah.
it is very few and far between, but it happens.
Just imagine like when that happens in a country they have no guns, someone's like, "Oh, he's got a gun."
He's got a gun. He's got
Yeah,
a
the
gun.
actual crime occurs, everybody rushes over. "Oh, can I see that? Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Can I touch it? Can I feel it?
Ooh, can I hold your gun, please? I know
Can
you
I
just
hold your gun?
somebody call about that other guy, but seriously, can I hold it?
Oh shit.
Um, so with the current state of the economy and like all the real estate shit going on, like I was saying, we're trying to buy a house and right now though, I'm more so interested than anything else when it comes to real estate and just I want actual land, like undeveloped land, and I want to
Yes.
physically develop it
Yes.
myself. Not as some sort of profit game, but as like a passion project. Like I want to buy a plot of some woods with a little water source, and I want to go in there with my own fucking hands and an axe and just start chopping trees down and like build myself a fucking cabin and like terraform the land. It's like some sort of weird obsession I've been having lately. And Kiana's like, we can't do that because where are we gonna live? In the fucking tree until you cut it down? Like we have to have a house while we build a house. And I get that, but it's really hard to buy two houses at the same time when you haven't even
Yeah,
bought one.
definitely. As far as like development goes, which this isn't, the same as actually going in and doing it by hand, but there's actually a pretty easy way to get, I guess, royalties is the best way to describe it, off of like hotel and apartment complex developments called syndication. And dude, again, it's very similar to wholesale, but instead of selling it to the investors, you just group together 5 or 6 capital investors, you bring them in, you show them the deal, you lay out the plan, and if they invest, you charge 3 to 5% off the top, and then you get anywhere from 10 to 25% of the annual profits off of it, and it's phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Mm.
So it seems like the residual income in the real estate market will always be unmatched, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes,
And I feel like it's
100%.
the most stable, like out of everything, more stable than blue chips and more stable than any sort of stable coin or anything.
Oh, yeah.
And another thing about that too, every single millionaire sort of role model I look up to, every single one of them preach that real estate is a main pillar of one of their
Oh,
three
yeah.
sources of income.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
So
everything else can be tainted. If you a lot of wells can be tainted, I should say, but
Yeah.
land is finite. It never lose. Well,
you
it
only
loses its
appreciate.
value, but you can always, yeah.
I don't even
Mhm.
think there's not too many instances where it even loses value nowadays because the fucking population is growing so exponentially and we're just developing. So these people that are like right now there's a big problem. People are literally signing petitions and actively trying to get Bill Gates to stop buying land because he is
Yeah.
buying copious amounts of land. I mean
Yeah.
like tens of thousands of acres of land, if not more. And
Yep.
everyone's getting really upset because they're like, fuck this guy, man. What's he about to do with this? I mean, me personally, I don't give a fuck what he does with it because I don't have the money to match him and do it myself. But one day, if I do have the money to do it, I'm gonna try to buy the same amount of land as him and just preserve it. I would like to
Yeah.
just preserve a fuck ton of land.
Here's another like point of view on land. So, I do have a partner that I work with, and we actually use most of his funds for like the bigger deals. But there is a city not far from Chattanooga called Rossville, and we've bought both.
Oh.
You cutting out a little bit?
Yeah, we lost him.
There we go. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I have a Doberman and a German Shepherd mixed dog, and he just decided that his tail was gonna whip my microphone off my desk. But so like a way to look at it is it doesn't matter.
Oh, tail's back.
He's like, give me that mic.
It smells like peanut butter. I want to eat it.
It seems like a crazy concept, but we literally bought most of the neighborhood, paid less than 200,000, and we're gonna turn around and sell these houses for 250 to $350,000, which with like minimal work, even the barren land will probably sell for 10 grand an acre because we own enough of it that we can set the value.
Yeah, and that's basically like, and you're in a position too where you can generate, like you said, marketing around it, kind of in a way that you can promote that land to certain people, and you're already
Yeah.
connected in that area where kind of just fits all together. I work in installing internet into anywhere. So
Okay.
basically, I am dealing with a lot of new homes, new builds, and people just moving in all the time. That's like a constant everyday thing. And along with that is lately a lot of people have been moving from 3 hours north of here. And in Canada, it's Toronto, 3 hours north from here.
Yeah.
So they're selling their house for $1 million and coming down here and buying 300,000 like dollar homes and
Yeah.
basically.
We have a friend who just did that, Griffin. Or I guess, I mean, he's still my friend. He's not Greg's friend, but
Yeah, Devontae just did
yeah,
that as well.
Devonte. He just sold one of his homes and made almost $1 million off of it, and it's just insane to me. Like
That
I get that that's Canadian money, and that equates to about like 700,000 or whatever, but 700,000 fucking dollars still. That's insane, dude. I haven't even seen $700,000 before. One day, maybe, but
No,
I've
you got
never.
this.
Yeah,
and I feel like you reach a certain precipice, and Braxton, you can probably attest to this a bit. Once you get to a certain level playing field, all the numbers, basically, they're just numbers that have zeros added to the back of them at that point.
Yes.
Like when you're
Yes.
dealing with such a large market, when it's land and homes, like it's not, it's very much not out of reach to hear something going for 3.5 million if it's a large plot of
Mm-hmm.
land that's empty.
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
around here in particular, there's one spot that used to have a factory on it. It used to be a Meritor factory and create a bunch of car parts and everything, but it's since been torn down and it's been bought up. And within, I don't know, 6 months, they have three townhouses slash complexes built, like 3 stories with not like 18
Nice.
places in
Yeah.
each building. And they're already open. They have internet. They're good to go. And for a company that is in a position where basically that's already not already a return, but practically already a return when you have those contracts signed. Like,
Yeah.
and I
Ye-
think that's in a way is uh kind of crazy, not crazy, but it almost seems like you can work a 9 to 5, that 12-hour job at the car dealership for 3 or 4 years and not see that money. But
for like
in
20 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Fuck a 9 to
right,
5, bro. I just cannot. I can't stress this enough to anyone listening to this. If you are fucking miserable in your job, you should do everything you can in your fucking power on your
Yes.
time off to work your way out of that hole.
Do not stop.
I
Don't
can't.
stop.
The best thing that ever happened to me was being my own boss. Being my own boss for as long as I did it, um, was the most wonderful time of my life. I had the freedom to just pick up, and a lot of people are gonna get angry at me for saying this, but I had the freedom before I had my child to just pick up on a Tuesday and be like, I think I'm gonna go to fucking Nevada today, or I think I'm gonna go to Florida, and that freedom. I fucking want it back so bad. Once my kid's a little older, I'll be able to, but at the moment, it's just sketchy where he's only 5 months, and there's so many people that are just sick everywhere.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
can't really cover for you yet. Like he can't talk, and once he can, it'll be real easy for you to be like, okay, just tell mommy that I'm in the hospital. No.
Yeah, no, I'll just be like, "Yo, Arson, tell your mother that I'm out hunting for treasure." And he'd be like, "Oh, I want to come." But all right, fuck it, let's just both go. She gets home
I
and we're
fuck-
just gone. She calls the police. What the fuck is happening?
You gotta work up to it. So have him draw pictures of flying saucers for weeks before you guys disappear, and then have
Oh,
him like drip feed like stories like I keep seeing Mr. Handy and he keeps coming and telling us me and Daddy are leaving.
okay, this 100% would work on Kiana. I'm gonna tell you
Oh,
guys a story.
God.
So there was one time that for a couple days straight, I kept telling Kiana like, and I don't know why I did this. I was just bored and wanted to fuck with her. I just kept telling her. I was like, I'm just not feeling right. I keep hearing this voice, and I don't know what's going on. I haven't been like this in a long time. Did this for days straight, and then I messaged my mom one day when she wasn't looking, when Kiana wasn't with me. I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, at like 3:30
I
today,
remember this.
I need you to call me and then ask me if I'm okay." And then I'm gonna say, "No, Hector's back," and it's this fucking random name I made up. And so I told her when
Oh
she
my
calls me
God.
and I say, "No, Hector's back," that she needs to immediately start freaking out and say, "Do I need to call your doctor? You need to come here right now. Are you near anyone you could hurt?"
Oh my
And
God.
my girlfriend was like, "What the fuck? What is wrong with you? What is happening?" And I was like, "Oh my
Who
god,
are you?
I was like, I can feel Hector. He's in my fucking head."
She said, "What?"
And I was like, "Nah, I'm just kidding, babe. I just want to fuck you this past couple days."
Oh my God.
Oh, that was a trust
Uh,
exercise.
yeah, chest exercise. She failed miserably.
Crazy.
She was like, "Get the fuck away from me! What's wrong with you? You're a creep." I was like,
You're
Come
creep.
on, man. It's got a couple personalities, and one of them's named Hector, and he kills people." Shit.
Hector's
Oh
winning.
gosh.
I don't even know how I came up with the name Hector. It just sounded like a name that if I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that guy would probably kill me.
I've done that
Yeah.
before. It's like a type of joke, I guess. But I used my middle name whenever I did that. I said Charles because that's a creepy
Oh,
name, I think.
here comes Charles.
Here comes
Charles is here.
Charles.
Here's Charles.
I get kind of freaked out talking about that stuff. My mother's mother is schizophrenic,
Oh, yes, is my
and
aunt.
yeah, we have two different names for when she's doing whatever she's
Schizo
doing.
shit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's either Nana or the Nan, and the
Oh god,
Nan,
the Nan sounds scary, bro.
Fuck yeah, that sounds
The
like a
Nan
fucking
is
horror
scary.
movie.
That's
The
fucked
the
up.
Nan will burst into your house and tell you that you're going to hell and you're gonna burn, kid. You're gonna burn.
Her fucking
And
jaw just unhinges and she puts it over
His
your entire
jaw.
head.
it was
No.
terrifying. During an episode, she was like watching my sister and I for a weekend or something. I forget. But she would just sit with her eyes like staring open at a wall, and she'd be claiming to be sleeping.
She's like, "I'm
Ooh.
sleeping."
Well, one
I
of
would
us
be
sleeping,
like,
I guess.
Nana, are you okay? And she's like, Oh yeah, sorry, I was just asleep. I was
And then
sleeping.
every time you like turn around, she's just scooted like an inch closer to you.
Fuck.
That's horrifying, bro, honestly.
Yeah, that is pretty fucking scary.
I think it's
So,
also a little weird that anyone let her watch you
well,
being
at that
schizophrenic.
point, it was
Yeah.
not when you're under the right medications,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
a
Valid
normal
point.
human being. Not that's rude to say. Everybody's a normal human being.
Look, yeah, everybody might be normal, but not everybody runs around and fights shadow people. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying.
Dude, I have my nephew, he's schizophrenic, but it's only because like he suffered like really severe abuse as a child. Like so when he was 2 years old, like my sister's baby daddy would take a blunt and put the lit end in his own mouth and then blow smoke through the other end into like my 2-year-old nephew's mouth, and he did that for
Jesus.
years, and like would like that fucked him up because your brain's
Fuck
not
yeah.
formed. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't want to like step on anyone's toes or anything, but one thing I will never agree with is giving any sort of child any drug. Okay, now epilepsy's different and things like that where they can act there's a medicinal use, but recreationally giving a child fucking
Oh,
drugs,
yeah, no, that's fucked
even if it
up.
is just weed. I'm a huge advocate for marijuana. I fucking love the shit, man. I use it every day. So does Griffin. But you get to a point where you got people doing shit like that, and then that's when I feel like I can uh, rightfully classify it as a drug. It's
Yeah.
definitely a drug for a fucking 2-year-old. You don't need
Yeah,
to be like
definitely.
blowing
Oh
fucking
yeah.
smoke into
At
his
that
mouth.
point, it's as dangerous as thalidomide. Like you might as well be just yeah. You might as well
Yeah.
take a blueprint of that kid's DNA and just squish it all up, just smush it, and
Yeah,
then
you
hope it
just
goes back to how it is. Like,
Just open his little toes and stick a heroin needle in there.
and I can
ooh.
attest to that. My mom smoked weed all the time when I was a kid around me, and I'm dyslexic.
Oh my
I'm
god!
just
You
kidding.
know what? Call her right now and say, "Mom, you did this to me," but say it all jumbled.
Oh, fuck. Mom, I'm so high, I
Mom,
can't
ich die
read.
Bastelstufe. Like,
What are you
what?
saying, honey? You're having a dyslexic attack.
You're having a dyslexia.
Oh
Never
shit!
mind. To just start walking backwards.
Oh, fuck.
Oh
No, but
shit!
Oh,
there's something to that. Like, what goes into there's I think it's a lot more dangerous now with all the shit that they put in our food too. Like, I'm kind of scared for not to say that your baby's going to turn out this way, but the new generation I feel like is going to have a lot of chemical imbalance just because of how much chemical imbalance we currently have as adults because of everything. And
yeah, isn't it crazy how like, I mean, there are foods and compounds that every other first world country has completely banned, but the US is like, nah, bro, eat that shit up.
Shit in there,
hmm
man. Throw that shit in there.
Yeah, it's like,
You-
hey guys, how do we ask for help?
I had a debate with a guy the other day that was trying to tell me aspartame is healthy, and I'm like, "You're fucking
oh
tripping,
god,
bro."
You see,
what?
you're fucking tripping.
You're fucking. That's the shit they put in like diet sodas and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's addictive.
It's not only addictive, but it's horrible for you. I don't care what anyone says. And he was like, "No, it's the most studied chemical in the world, but it's got the most inconclusive findings." And I'm like, that does not prove your point. That if anything, that proves my point. That if they've studied it for this long and they still don't know what it does to your body,
That's
I'm sure
yeah,
it's not
like,
doing anything fucking great.
well, it could
Have you
like
ever seen?
literally cause learning issues like seizures, depression, like all kinds of crazy shit, bro. It's
It
not
can
good.
dissolve teeth. Like if you take a
Oh my
Yeah.
little
god.
glass of the compound and you stick like a baby's tooth in there, like that just lost their tooth, it'll dissolve in the
Yeah.
aspartame. It's straight up no good. Straight up no good.
No.
Oh, look at this. The so this is just another fucking study, but you Google it and the first thing it says is authors of a 2017 review concluded that aspartame may affect the immune system and as a result it may lead to oxidative stress and inflammation. Their findings suggested that aspartame could affect the cells of various body organs including your brain, heart, liver, and kidneys. So you cannot tell me
Jesus.
that shit is healthy. And I love that.
No.
Dude, this guy was literally like bold faced looking at me in the eyes and being like, dude, I'm in fantastic shape and I drink diet soda every day. And I look down and his belly's hanging over his belt and I'm like,
People
I
love being loud or being wrong super loud.
yeah. That is a fucking great quote.
that is. I was gonna bring up. God damn it! It was such a good quote. I lost my train of thought. Okay, okay. I think it's finding it something to do with people. It's definitely to do with people. What were we just talking about? GMOs, right?
Yeah, we're talking about aspartame and
Yeah.
kidneys breaking
Oh
down.
yes, okay. Aspartame drugs. Yes, okay. Unless a drug's been on the market for about 20 years, I am very weary taking it. So,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example, I just watched a documentary about it, so that's why it's fresh in my mind. But thalidomide was on the market as 7 different drugs for about 8 years before it was even looked at as having any kind of side effects, and then after that, it became over the counter for 2 years, in which time most doctors prescribed it to mothers, which was the main kind of, the main problem with that drug. The
Yeah.
main side effect was down to what happened with babies, but it also, had other side effects, like, if you took it, yeah, it would help you not have, like, stomach pains or nausea, but it would make your limbs tingle,
Hmm.
and
Jesus.
that's
Imagine you
yeah,
just
that's kinda
walking around
weird.
feeling like a jellyfish. But my
Hell yeah.
stomach doesn't hurt.
My stomach doesn't hurt and I can't feel my left hand. Fuck yeah.
Dude,
And
I might try that. I have Crohn's disease and my stomach hurts like a motherfucker. I'd rather feel like a jellyfish kinda than be in severe pain all day.
Hell yeah.
and so that's the other part of it too. Now that we've had that happen, flutamide is just off the table. Like, it's not prescribed anywhere ever because we know it's bad. We don't
Yeah.
know exactly what it does, but it fucks with us.
You know what's crazy to
And
me? Like, I don't understand how, like, we find these drugs that have like potential usages, and then we find some like major side effects, and then we just completely abandon it. But then there are countries like Canada or fucking Germany that can find a way to still use the drug without absolutely murdering their own population. It's like I feel like we're kind of lazy over here, guys.
My favorite thing is when you see a commercial and it just seems really nice and there's somebody playing and they're frolicking through a field and they're like, side effects
then
may
it
include.
the list, the
Hell yeah.
rolling list.
Yeah, it's like loss of limbs, loss of life.
Pants shitting. Like
You're
what?
like, wait,
No.
wait, 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 hold on, dude. This is just a fucking commercial for my IBS, bro. I'm tired of
Hell
shitting my pants
yeah.
in public. I don't want to lose my legs.
I just want to sleep in a puddle that's not mine.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah.
I think that's another industry where you get to a certain point and you're dealing with massive numbers that are just kind of incomprehensible to the average Joe to even ponder. Like, uh, what's his name? Farmer Bro. Have you guys seen anything on Farmer Bro?
No, but that sounds sick.
Mm-mm.
So Pharma Bro was one sec. Pharma
Oh, I thought you were
Bro.
saying farmer, bro. Like
I
there's
thought that's
just
what
a
you were
Farmer
saying
guy that's
too.
Bro.
I thought you were
like
saying
he's just
farmer, yeah.
he's just tilling the field with
No.
a backwards hat on, vaping. He's got a he's got a slam tractor. He fucking
Yeah,
cambered his tractor wheels.
that's the guy that
Oh
produces
shit.
all the drugs. Yeah, he has a separate camper where he just makes them all up.
Hell
It's
yeah.
Walter White with a fucking snapback.
I was talking
Oh,
about Martin Shkreli, actually.
oh,
Martin Shkreli.
the
I know
old
Tony
hedge fund
Kelly.
manager?
Yeah, well, yes, hedge fund manager turned owner of a pharmaceutical company. But
He
Interesting.
looks creepy.
so he was, if you look into him and watch particular on Prime, I think it is, he has a Pharma Bro uh, documentary made about him where it basically outlines him and why he became a real life supervillain.
Buying rights to
And
Daraprim, an antiparasitic drug used to treat an infection that occurs in some AIDS, malaria, and cancer patients, and then raise the price from $13.50 to $750 a pill.
Jesus.
So
yes,
he's a fucking scalper.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, along with that, it the documentary just kind of shows that that kind of stuff goes on all the time in the pharmaceutical industry, and a lot of the time it's just brushed over because it's not a very interesting story. But in Martin Shkreli's case, he was, for lack of a better term, a total dickhole, and he streamed on Twitch every day and was open to any questions that anybody had for him about pharmaceuticals, about his company. And this was after being fully public about the rising price of Daraprim and responding to people in interviews on Twitter is basically like, if you can't afford it, you still have to find a different drug, and that
Jesus.
sort of thing. Like, is what it is, sort of. And just the smirks and the smiles while he's like going over shit, like it's pretty wild. But that's a that's an outlier case where that guy was looked at, but that type of thing, the 700% or what was it, 500% hike, I think it is,
Yeah,
on a drug overnight is just wild to me. And the fact that
insane.
that is a decision that can be made is also wild to me. But I guess you're kind of dealing with that kind of
Bro, that was
scale
a
too.
5,000%
Constantly, yeah.
hike.
Really?
5,500%. Yeah. It's
God
55.5 repeating. So he just was
dang.
like, this guy probably just, because he's called Farm Bro, guy probably really just did some fucking DMT and then sat there and saw the number 5 over and over. He's like, oh my God, I've got to increase the price of this 55.5 times. It's the only thing that makes sense.
55.5 times.
He's just like, uh,
Oh,
call the
God.
team, raise the prices, give me the numbers, crunch them quick.
Punch them quick.
He was also the guy who bought the one of a kind Wu-Tang Clan album and then used it as a coaster.
So
Disrespectful.
yeah, that's kind of
That's
where I
fucked.
draw the line. That's a little
He
unforgivable.
said that's
It
where I draw the line.
I mean, I understand charging people with AIDS an exorbitant amount of money to survive, but I draw the
A
line
Wu-Tang?
at
It's
using
very
Wu-Tang albums
disrespectful.
for coasters. That's bullshit.
They literally say Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with for a reason. That's all I'm
Wu-Tang
Yeah,
saying.
shit.
and the guys who basically sold it to him they were approached by this. What do you think about him using it as a coaster? He's not even listened to it. He's not gonna listen to it. He said he might release it, and he's like, man, the worst thing that could happen was him releasing it. It is his property. He can do with it what he wants. The value is not gonna depreciate. It's the only one out there, kind of thing. Like it
Yeah.
is his
Piss
property.
on
He
it.
can do what he wants. Yeah, he can piss on it if he wants. Like,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. He bought it, right? So it doesn't matter if he shatters it. He spent the fucking money on it.
mm-hmm.
It's like,
Still bothers me though.
oh yeah, no, it still bothers me. Yeah, 100%.
But
Well,
But at least it wasn't like a
he's
gift or anything.
you're right.
that would have been
Imagine,
different if
imagine
it
Wu-Tang's like, yo, real respect for fucking hiking those AIDS medicines, man.
was
Here's
He
this.
said real
a
Oh
gift.
god.
Slide him across the table. Oh, fuck yeah, man. Throws his coffee cup on it, spills the whole cup.
Oh
Oh god.
gosh. He's
We really strayed. This is the thing about Two Pieces of Toast. We always have a starting point somewhere that is kind of unspoken, and then we end up somewhere in a different country talking about some weird shit every single
Just
time.
random.
It never fails. Like so, the two I believe 2 episodes ago, or was it last episode? Yeah, 2 episodes ago. Episode 2. We started talking about Drake being a pedophile. That was like the whole premise because somebody called me out and said he wasn't a pedophile. So I went through about 20 minutes of evidence of him being a pedophile.
Oh, he
And
definitely is.
yeah, 100%, dude. I'm glad you agree with that. But so we started with that and ended up talking about why potatoes are the most versatile vegetable. I don't know how we like even bridge those gaps at all.
They kind of
But
are though. I mean, shit, soup, mash, bake, you can do anything with fucking potato, bro.
you can
it's
have a
true.
whole meal just made out of potatoes.
Hell yeah.
And you
And
wouldn't
they
be
can be
upset.
different textures. Yeah, they can be different textures, different tastes, and like based on what you like load them up with, they can have all the nutrition you need.
Here's the argument I have with Greg all the time. You can't do that with broccoli. I don't care what the fuck you say. Broccoli always tastes like broccoli to me. I can't make it taste better. I've tried so many times to be a healthy adult. I'm
Bro,
not an
douse that
adult,
shit in
Mom.
cheese.
I can't fucking eat broccoli.
You can't make me do it.
Those
I
are
mean,
like that's apples and oranges, though. That's a starch compared to a straight up vegetable.
That yeah,
What
that's
is
true.
a stalk? Isn't it? Isn't
Yeah.
broccoli a stalk?
Oh, I don't know.
uh,
I thought you said starch. I was like, potatoes are starch.
yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't know, probably. I know it's a
I'm not a
What the
plant.
broccoli farmer. I couldn't tell
I
you.
fucking hate
fuck?
DJ would know. DJ would drop some real fucking knowledge on us right now. I
Be
have
like, actually, guys,
my
broccoli and
my cousin
potatoes are the
DJ
same family.
Braxton. He he's like a guy who grew up playing World of Warcraft like religiously, so much so that he like became addicted to it, and now he's pretty much like denounced like using any form of video game like that. Like he plays games with us every now and then, but he spends like I would say 10 hours plus a day in the garden. Like he just is a
Hell yeah.
straight yeah, he's a straight farmer and it's so awesome to like cuz he's so like meticulously uh he plans it very meticulously. Like you look at the
Yeah.
blueprints for his garden, it's fucking insane. He's got like a bunch of these notebooks where he just draws and draws and draws, and then he goes out and fucking
Hell yeah.
enacts it, and then he comes back. So he's growing weed. He lives in Virginia. He's growing weed. He's growing fucking he grows kale. He has blackberry bushes. He's fucking all kinds of shit, dude. He's
Hell
got some,
yeah.
and it's just like with the current that's cool. With the current state of like, I don't know if you're familiar with this. We're kind of not even a conspiracy theory really, but we're branching into new territory once again. Just this year alone, like over 20 food processing facilities and major farms have burned down in America,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is it's wild that that's just like nobody's covering this on the news. And so where with the war with the Russo-Ukrainian war, uh, the entire world's supply of wheat just it's
Yeah.
gone.
It
It's
just
gone
fucking
now
disappeared. Yeah.
because they like burned it down and there's nobody to tend to the fields and like all these facilities are getting bombed over there. And so last month they told us we had 10 days left of wheat for the entire world. And today I went in the grocery store to get my fucking bread for my 2 pieces of toast, and there was one bag of wheat bread on the entire shelf. And I
You
was
are an
like,
adult. Don't eat wheat bread. No, I'm just kidding.
I love wheat. I don't know why. I need to
Bro,
switch to whole grain, but I just can't do white bread because it's
I
so
like
fucking
white,
bad for
bro.
you.
White bread, but it just tastes so good, bro. Look, I like my
Uh,
bread fucking boneless. I don't want seeds or fucking shit
I
in
don't
my
like
bread.
seeds. See, the whole grain bothers me. The texture of the seeds, I can't do it. That's why
Oh,
I've like
dude, it's horrible.
stopped at wheat. But ow.
So
I
back
don't
in the
know.
day, I went to again my nana's for summers, sometimes at a time,
Yeah,
and I was raised in a house where my mom was a dietitian, like that's what she went to school for. So we always had like whole wheat toast, always, and so much so to a point that I had never had white bread before. And I
damn.
went up, yeah. So I went up north to stay with my nana, and she had white bread. And as a snack one day, she just made me white bread and butter, and I thought it was the best thing in the world, the
Hell
best.
yeah.
Just a sec, I'm getting a call. Be right back.
Oh, you're good. Um. So with as I was saying, with like the current state of like all of our fucking food supplies being burned down, and recently, uh, the government announcing that eggs could be as expensive as $12 a dozen by fall of next year.
Yeah.
Needless to say, me and my cousin, he's been fucking going hard in the garden, but he's like gonna give me a bunch of his produce later this year,
Hell yeah.
and I'm gonna take the seeds and I'm gonna start a garden over here, and he's getting chickens and everything. I can't do fucking chickens.
Oh,
I
dude.
just they
Yeah.
don't require much upkeep, but I just don't like those little fuckers.
No. My
They
sister and her husband, they live on a farm down in Alabama and they actually raise chicken for Tyson.
oh, no way.
So, dude, they have a shit ton of chicken houses, but they have I couldn't even tell you how many hogs, cattle. They have a 2-acre fucking garden, bro. So, I mean, fresh eggs, some crazy ass like Boston butt steaks, bro. It is
They're set.
fire. Oh yeah, they're good.
See, I was talking about this last podcast. I feel like that's the one thing I learned from growing up in a redneck, racist ass place was how to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Like, cause all these motherfuckers in these backwoods, they don't want anybody fucking coming up in their neck of the woods. So they've got fenced in fucking literal holes in the mountain where they grow
Hell
all their
yeah.
own food, shoot all their own meat, and they're completely self-sustainable. That's the only thing I will ever be thankful for growing up in this area I grew up in.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
taken a lot of that. So here recently, I've become completely obsessed with catch and cook. Like, I used to do a lot of fishing, like
Yeah.
probably from the time I was 8 until, I was like 15, 16. Took a break to do a million drugs for 10 years.
I think
Not
we're the
10
same
years, but
person, bro.
so yeah, I did drugs for how many ever years, and I quit doing all the shit I found interesting. And then when I got sober again, which was about 5 years ago, and by sober, let me clarify to everybody who's listening before you talk shit. I still have beer here and there, and I smoke weed. So not sober, but I'm not doing fucking heroin and Molly and acid. So we're good over here. But one thing I've been doing here recently is I've become really obsessed with catch and cook videos. So I've got 2 fishing poles now. I've got like a whole bunch of like several different rigs. I'm waiting on a couple
Heck yeah.
GoPros to come in the mail. I've got a kayak that I'm trying to buy, and I've been just going out and trying to catch shit and only use stuff I forage in nature, like random like wild onions and stuff, and like wild
Heck yeah.
radishes. I just chop up little salads and like I take the fish that I catch in the water, gut it right there, clean it, debone it and everything, and I'll cook it on like an open source of flame that
Heck
I just
yeah.
make. So I've recently like gotten, like I said, really infatuated with that, and I'm gonna be adding like a bunch of videos of that kind of stuff on my YouTube. But to bring
Awesome.
up the point with that, just the other day when I was out there fishing one of these spots, I noticed that the entire field on the other side of me was full of cattle, but there was almost no fucking grass because the heat wave that we're currently experiencing just killed
Yeah.
like almost all that grass. So some of these cattle, I could see their fucking ribs, and they were just wading in the water. And I know that this seems far-fetched, but I swear they were looking for fish to eat because they were like diving their head in the water and shit. And I was like, I've never seen a cattle do that. I've never seen like I've seen them drink or I've seen them like wash themselves off, but these things were like open mouth diving in the water. I was like, are they trying to fucking fish right now? Are they?
They could
And then I
also be eating like algae.
oh, solid point. That makes way more sense because it was a pretty shallow little stream I was fishing. That's a solid point. 'Cause when I was sitting there experiencing this, I will say that I had a few beers and I was like, do these cows have mad cows? Like, are they about to try to come eat me? So I was like, I'm gonna just go up the river a little bit away from them because they're getting awful close to where I'm fishing. And if I accidentally hook one, it might freak out and charge me. And I'm a little too drunk. I might fall in the water and drown. I can swim. I don't know why I say that. I say that all the time. I have this weird fear of drowning, even though I swim like a fish. Um, my buddy Sebastian, what we used to do is we would go to a pool in this neighborhood we lived in, and we
Yeah.
would get these big fucking rocks, and we would just jump in the deep end, and it's like a scuba diving technique. You just carry something heavy so it'll keep you at the bottom, and you can just stay like literally walk flat-footed around the bottom of the pool, and we would just take the fucking rock and jump into the pool and sit at the bottom for as long as we could, and then
So something I used to do when I was a kid, my grandfather used to live in the house that I now own, and it still has the same pool in the backyard, pool I learned to swim in. But in particular, I would lay in the pool and just breathe out all the air in my lungs and just let myself sink to the bottom and like stare upwards at like all the light going through the water and make it all pretty. And I used to do that like constantly, and I got to a point where I would do it in the deep end so I could like about three-quarters way down the
Yeah.
temperature changes and you stop sinking, and it's weird.
yeah,
I would love to go on a if you've ever seen the really deep underground structures that are built for not I forget the term for it, but it's modern diving, I think. Not modern diving. That's stupid. That's stupid. Stupid. No. Um, it's like honest like superstructures that they build and then they fill them with water, so you could go through and you know that painting with all the stairs in every which direction, all
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It, there's one that's modeled sort of like that, where it's different staircases in different directions, and I just think it would be so surreal. Like deepest pools is uh, is the video that I watched
It
regarding
does
those, but
sound crazy.
I think that would be
So there's an
fantastic.
area near where we live called Watauga Lake, and there used to be a town called Butler. And so I'm not sure. I know it was controlled flooding, but
Yeah.
you can go right now to this day, and you can scuba dive in Watauga, and you can just swim through people's houses. There's houses
Yeah.
under this
That's
water.
wild.
That's
Yeah,
how
it's really, really cool. Now, the only thing is Watauga is a pretty dangerous lake because there is a lot of debris in there. Like there's
yeah.
fucking trees and shit that you can get impaled on, and the water's not very clean, so it's very dangerous to scuba dive. You have to like typically you should be scuba diving for a long time before you go down in there. And also, I have a fucking deep-seated fear of creatures underwater that are faster than me. So I'm not
I
doing it anytime soon.
also, when I'm in the ocean, I
Oh
get kind
God,
of
yeah.
creeped out by whatever's underneath me. And like when I went to Mexico, the few times that I did swim in the ocean, I had my uh, my grandmother on my dad's side had a stingray bite her foot in the shallows of the water,
Jesus.
and not sting her foot, but actually bite her foot. And those things eat clams, so they can just bite
Yeah.
through whatever you have. And it happened to also slice an artery, so that was a kind of a crazy time. But also, I had little the crawfish kind of thing. I remember I felt something on my foot, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what it is." Like, not really thinking about it. I was hanging out with one of my friends, and then I just lifted up my foot to look at it, and there's this crawfish. But the way it was like upset because it was out of the water, so all of its claws and legs went up in the air, but it was still like hanging on to me, and I was like, "Ugh," so I like whipped it off
What
and
is
ran back to the.
that?
Yeah, it's like with the arachnid fear times 1,000. Ew.
Yeah.
So I've been stung by a fucking jellyfish multiple times.
Really?
Just this last time,
Fuck.
we went to Florida a couple. We've been to the beach like 5 times since this Florida trip, but we went to Florida 2 years ago, and when we were in Florida, we took out this pontoon boat into the like this double-decker pontoon boat that had a slide off the
Heck
top.
yeah.
You could slide down like into the water, and we were just like
Oh, that's
taking the
awesome.
boat to different islands around the Gulf and stuff. And we got to this one area where it was this private little island, really cool, and we parked the boat like these are giant fucking boats, so you can't park it very close. Like they're
Mhm.
these giant
They'll
double
run
decker.
aground.
Yeah, they'll run aground. So, which actually ended up happening to us one time, and we had to push it, which I don't even know how we did it to this day, because those things are fucking several tons. But um, when we parked, so almost none of the kids could swim, and I'm one of the best swimmers in the family, so I had to swim most of the people to shore. And as I was swimming them to shore, an entire school of jellyfish came like just floating past us. And of course, not a single person I swam back to the boat got stung. Not one single person. I was the only person that got stung, and I got stung 3 times on the same leg as I was bringing back each person. I brought back this little girl. Her name's Brooklyn. I brought her back, got stung. Brought Ian back, got stung. Brought Kiana back, got stung. And I was like, all right, I'm not
Jesus.
getting in the fucking water anymore.
Fuck
But
no, yeah.
uh,
A group of jellyfish is either called a bloom or a smack.
hmm,
Fun to
I
know.
like
But
Bloom.
usually you get downed by one of those things, and you gotta get a teammate to res you. It's crazy.
So
I'm sorry.
I had a giant fucking welt, like my leg was swollen and solid red,
I
and it was
bet, yeah.
fucking burning and like. But that's happened. I've actually gotten stung multiple. I actually got stung by a stingray when I was a kid too. I got a scar on my ass from it. I have bad luck, and I think that's my fear from fish comes from having horrible luck, like being consistently targeted by them. And also, my grandfather, one time we went to the beach, and I don't know why he thought this is a good idea to tell me this, but I was a little kid, and this stuck in my brain forever. He was like, "Now, you boys be careful swimming out there. There's an entire swarm of lionfish coming up the coast, so if you feel something scrape your leg, let us know, and we'll take you to the hospital so you don't die." And fucking being
Jesus
in the ocean, things are gonna
Christ.
scrape your leg, like, shells are gonna scrape your leg. So every
Yeah.
time something touched me, I'd be like,
I'm dead.
"I'm fucking dead!"
I'm dying. That's
And
it.
so
I'm gonna
ever
die
since
right
then,
here.
I've had a fucking severe fear of fish. Like, I get in the ocean still to this day, but I won't go that deep anymore just because I'm
Oh,
so scared of what's gonna fucking get me.
I'm that idiot that's out going as far as I can with a fucking boogie board, trying to see how far I can ride inland on that shit. I
Yeah,
love the
I'm so
ocean, bro.
scared. I don't know. I wish I wasn't scared because like I said, I'm a very strong swimmer. Like there was one time when I was younger that I swam across it's this lake in our area called Boone Lake. I swam across the entire lake, which was like a several mile swim, and I just swam like
Yeah,
and
no, see,
just would float on my back when I was bored, swim again, float on my back, and I wasn't scared of fish at that point. And then I fucking went to that beach trip. My grandpa was like, "If you get touched, you're probably gonna die."
that's so fucked up.
When I was in Mexico, there was this off coast. Well, it was like still on the beach, but like in the water, and you had to rent like a life raft and a board to swim out there and use it. But I didn't know that. I just saw a bunch of people jumping on a sea trampoline. So me being like 9, 10 years old, I just decided to swim out there. And it was fine, but once I got out there, one of the parents was very concerned that I didn't have a life jacket, because you needed to rent one.
Hell
I was
yeah.
like, "No, I'm fine," and then I just dived back in the water because I couldn't jump on it because she was all concerned. Well, then I swam back and everything was fine. But
That's
I
awesome.
I learned how to swim because my grandfather, and this is a thing, like, so as everyone knows, I've said it a million times, poor as shit growing up. So anytime I got to do anything fun, it was because of my grandparents, pretty much. And my grandpa used to do this thing where he would buy a hotel room at this place that had a pool for the day, and we would just use their pool. It was
Heck
the
yeah.
only pool in the entire area. Like, there wasn't another pool. That was the only one. It was this hotel. So he would just rent it. It was actually a motel. He would rent the room and we'd swim in it. So they were all inside the motel, fucking doing whatever they were doing. I don't know. I was a fucking little kid. And I was doing this thing where I would run and I would jump and see how far I could jump into the pool. And then one time, I guess I just got some fucking sort of Olympic level stride before I hit that jump.
leverage.
I
You
Ooh.
jumped
jumped
all the
over the
way into
pool.
the deep end. I jumped straight in
Oh.
the deep end, and I had never swam before or never tried to swim and didn't know how to swim. And I was literally inhaling water, trying to get my head above water, and no one was out there. And it was just a do or die moment, and I made it just to the point where my big toe scraped the bottom, and I started just bouncing up and down until I got to the part where I could breathe again. But I was coughing up water for hours, and nobody even
Jesus.
came out there to save me. I was just sitting out there on
Nobody
the
even
side of the
came
pool,
back.
like fucking coughing up this water. Nobody was like, "Oh, why's my kid coughing?" Another thing that happened, I was in my grandparents' front yard, and I was climbing a tree with my little brother Connor. And I slipped out and the tree caught the back of my shirt and was literally hanging me. And I got fucking lucky then too because my shirt ripped because I was poor and we got those shitty ass shirts that were worth fucking 30 cents. I'm very lucky I was poor in that respect because I really would have died. Like, it was choking me bad. I couldn't breathe. And my brother was like crying and screaming, like trying to jump up and grab my feet, but he was too short. And I was just kind of like hanging up there. And then my mom came out last second with my shirt ripped and I just ate shit. I ate shit so
Damn.
bad. I fell like 10 feet out of this tree and just fucking scraped both my knees and hit my head.
Jesus.
I've had a lot of near death experiences. I feel like that's why I wasn't afraid to get addicted to heroin.
That's fair,
if
yeah.
if I think about it, there's a lot of situations where I was a kid where it was far too dangerous for me to be out there alone.
Oh,
Like,
100%, yeah.
you guys can probably attest to this, but like, when I was a kid, I grew up in Logan. I'm not sure about you, Braxton. I don't know about your childhood. I'm not finished the background check, but basically, being in a single parent home most of the time with a mom that's working, if you say like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to my friend's house," and it's like 9:30, your mom doesn't really know what time it is, so she's like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. Be back soon. Like, don't be too late." And then I'm out until like 3 or 4 a.m. as like a 10, 11-year-old getting up to mischief and whatnot. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
aside from that, like I can remember there were these houses that were being built, but they were taking their sweet ass time with it, and they had to like basically terraform the land in order to make it well enough for people to build houses on it. So they had these giant mounds of dirt that were just like built up, and these like giant excavator machines that they just left there overnight in my neighborhood. And it was a common, like, it was the thing we did every day after school or every day on the weekends. We would go and play on the dirt hills. And the dirt hills were, there's broken glass, barbed wire. I remember one time I jumped in this puddle. It was like, you know when you see ground and it's quicksand basically, but it's
Yeah,
soft
yeah.
ground, and you go to step on it and it looks hard, but only the surface is dry and all underneath is all wet.
Yep.
So I jumped into one of those and I got my leg all scratched up by a piece of, I don't know what, because it was underneath the ground. I thought it was going to be concrete or something like that. But I never told my parents. I never did nothing. I just like went home, washed it, it stopped bleeding, and did that sort of thing. But there's so many times where jumping off the dirt hill, I could have landed on my head or something like that. But yeah, kind of crazy that way.
Hell yeah.
I
Thing, I
don't think
just got
that's
a
gonna happen anymore.
fucking notification on my phone. They just found a completely frozen, mummified 30,000-year-old baby woolly mammoth.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
And it is completely preserved. You guys gotta look that shit
Clone
up.
that
It's
shit.
incredible.
They need to
It,
clone it.
yeah, honestly,
have you
clone it.
guys ever
Eat
seen?
first meat and fur. I'm just kidding.
I forget the B movie, but it's a horror movie. Basically, they thaw this mammoth, and there's a parasite inside the mammoth that ends up getting out and It's like a prehistoric parasite that.
Oh God, yeah. What
It,
is the name of that
I'm
movie?
gonna have to find that. I have not seen it.
is it Frozen or
Ah,
Frozen?
Frozen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
let it
Frozen.
go.
That's the one.
Just give me a second. I'll look it up. I also want to look at that fully preserved mammoth, though. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna have
down
to
for
look
some
at it.
mammoth
That's crazy.
Bro,
I'm down
I just can't even. It's called The Thaw,
for the
the
thought.
movie
The
you're talking
Thaw.
about. Yeah,
Yes,
Val Kilmer.
that's the one. Oh, Val. Have you seen
Yeah,
Val? What's going
yeah,
on with him?
yeah. Bruce Willis
Mm,
too, man. Poor
that's
Bruce Willis,
crazy.
because man, I
Yeah.
grew up with Bruce Willis being like the fucking man, the guy, and now he's
Hell
like
yeah.
having trouble
Yeah.
like speaking and like properly
Just
taking care of
I was
himself, and
gonna
it's just
say, yeah,
really
just being a
fucking sad.
human is
Yeah,
crazy.
feel bad for him,
So
man.
they should do a movie where it's him, it's Val Kilmer, and it's Brendan Fraser, and they all get together and they just cry, and we just watch and we all cry with them. I think that would
Already
sell
bet.
well. I'm sorry, but it just seems like those because Brendan Fraser, George of the Jungle, like came out the year I was born. I must have watched that movie like I don't know 300 different times growing up. Like
Hell yeah.
Fraser, I think he's just fat.
He's just fat as shit.
he is fat, but he also had a bit of a
Oh, we
action.
talked about this.
Yes, we
He
did,
yeah, he
and
tried to call out the fucking guy for sexually assaulting him, and they fucking Hollywood just blacklisted him.
he's one of the only men to ever speak out about, and he was one of the earliest. This was before the Me Too movement. This was right after 2008 when he played in the Mummy trilogy, where he tried to speak up about being forced into homosexual situations, basically for his roles.
Damn.
Fuck Hollywood, bro. Every time I talk about Hollywood, I get more angry. Like fucking bunch of parasites that literally prey on like the little children most of the time, and people
Hell
who
yeah.
I don't know, people with insecurities really. I feel
Well,
like if
you
you're an
was,
actor and actress, more often than not, you have severe insecurity, and that's why you create these personas and you're able to play these characters because it's not yourself. You're not being you, so it's easy
Yeah.
to do. Not for all of them,
and
but I'd say a portion of them.
I
Hell
feel
yeah,
like
definitely.
he was too big to fail too at one point, right? Like,
Oh, he
not
was
to be.
unstoppable, yeah.
He was the man.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other. Well, Blast from the Past is a movie that I really think if you guys haven't watched it, you should. It's a fantastic film, I think.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a romance novel, but it's also a cool.
See, look, this motherfucker got sexiest actor alive multiple times. How do you go from
Right?
that to
That's
being like
crazy.
he was sexiest actor alive, one of the most famous fucking actors. He played in so many literal blockbusters, and
Yeah.
then he's like, "Yo, this guy is fucking touching my dick and making me do shit I don't want to do." And then everyone's like, "What a fucking creep, man. Let's not talk to him."
What a fucking fuck him.
Like, but if it was, and I'm not bringing up any sort of sexist shit, but if the same year a woman said that, it would be different. Now we're approaching an era where men are allowed to speak up and whatnot,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
there's a pretty big disparity between how much more often this happens to women than it does men. But that's not to discount that it still does happen to men,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
no,
where I think
absolutely.
the problem therein lies because people are like, well, what about these other all these other men who are raping women, that just because a couple of you men are getting raped doesn't mean it's the same. And I'm like, well, it's not the same
Yep.
and it's unfair, but at the same time, it's still happening and you have to speak about it.
Yeah.
Well, did I? Oh, we didn't touch on this, but did you ever? Oh gosh, I don't want to even say it, but it was an ex-president that assaulted him.
What?
That
You're gonna get killed.
that's no, that's the big
You're gonna
thing
get
that
The
really.
assassinated.
CIA.
No, but honestly, that's the
Was it fucking
accusation that.
Woodrow Wilson?
I was about to say Hoover, but yeah, it was definitely Wilson.
I'm just, there's no
Yeah,
there's no way it could be Woodrow Wilson.
it was
I think
all of them. He
I think
went
he
into the
died in like
secret underground.
1920s.
No, bro, it was definitely Wilson. We've all seen Looney Tunes back in action. He just fucking used the monkey to bring his ass back.
What a savage, man.
It's all the president's heads, and they
I
were
just
just
coughed some.
lined up, and they all just tossed a salad one after
Hell yeah.
another.
All right, update on the Alpha Brain. So the first 30 minutes, I felt like there was a hive of fucking hornets and bees in my head, and I was buzzing super hard, and I had trouble like keeping solid train of thought, and I was tapping my foot really fast. But now I've calmed down and settled into it, and it just feels like somebody's kind of like buffed my body up full of air. Like I feel really fucking good, and I feel like I can look at the same letter on this computer screen, and my eyes won't dart around a million times like they normally do. Like I'm able to focus pretty well,
Hell yeah.
which normally,
Okay, okay.
like before, like whenever we would be doing the podcast and stuff, I would literally just be opening tabs, just typing in random shit to keep myself busy because my mind just races. I think I've only opened 2 tabs this entire podcast, and it was just to search shit. I just searched
Hell
Woodrow
yeah.
Wilson because I couldn't remember when he died. And I searched Brendan Fraser. Those are the 2 things I searched. So good on you, Alpha Brain. One day maybe Joe Rogan will be like, I'll send you a lifetime supply. That would
Hell
be
Oh,
yeah.
so again, critical thinking. Back to what we were talking about last podcast. I just want to clarify. He is the president of HFPA member, that organization, not the
That's
United
Mark's
States.
most
okay.
power.
Yeah, you're not gonna get assassinated for that. I don't know.
Yes, that's a bit better. The headline and the article that I was reading made it seem like it was a president. They kept on just saying the president, the president, the president. But it's like,
President of
okay,
what?
what president? But yeah, I guess the Foreign Hollywood Press announced in 2018 that they were investigating the allegations made by it, but I don't ever know what happened to it.
Interesting.
But I agree. I don't think the same thing happened with the other two though. Kilmer is just a poor kind of luck of the draw almost. He got cancer, and then
Yeah.
the Bruce Willis thing is actually quite interesting because that's like that disease is very. If I'm not wrong, isn't it like he's losing parts of his speech?
He's got aphasia. Yeah, it's a language disorder. It just causes damage to like a certain area of your brain, the one that controls your language expression and comprehension. It's it can be a result of a stroke, but I think it's so my grandfather had aphasia before he
Okay.
passed away. So he did have a stroke, and it's honestly one of the saddest things that I can remember in my recent life. Because he literally could not speak. He could only say 3 things. He could only say blanket, water, and I can't wait to get out of here. That's it. And that's how he
Oh
communicated.
gosh.
Like I had to completely communicate with him in the last time I spoke with him because he would literally just sit there and you could see him. He 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 could think of the words in his head so perfectly. He knew exactly what he wanted to say, but all that would come out of his mouth is he'd be talking to you and he'd be putting his hand in a circle like with his pointer finger and his thumb together, just
Damn.
rotating it in a circle like he's eating with a spoon really fast and he'd be like, blanket, I'm thirsty, blanket, blanket, blanket. I can't wait to get out of here. Blanket. And you had to figure out what he was trying to say because I know he was only saying blanket, I'm thirsty, and I can't wait to get out of here. But he was actually communicating. Like he was communicating well enough that I knew, and this is gonna sound crazy, I knew that he would be trying to say, um, and this is the saddest part about it. He was trying to tell me he loved me the whole time, and I knew that's what he was trying to say because he started crying as he was trying to get it out,
Oh.
and then as I walked out of the room, I heard him fucking say it, dude, and that's the last memory I have of my grandfather. He died, like, a day or 2 later, but as I was
Damn.
walking out of the room, I was almost to the elevator, and I heard him tell me he loved me, and he said, I love you," and then I ran back in there, and I was like, I love you too," I was crying my eyes out the whole fucking way out of there, but that's the last memory I have of my grandfather, was him not being able to communicate with anyone at all, but being able to tell me he loved me one last time. And that's like aphasia, man. I couldn't imagine what Bruce Willis is going through with that because he's still relatively young. What is he like in his 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too
So he's
sure.
he's probably going to live the next 20, 30 years of his life not being able to communicate with anyone
That's crazy, man.
properly. Yeah. Yeah, he's 67 years old. That's
That's
rough, man.
interesting.
Damn, bro, it's
Uh,
crazy to think he's almost 70 too.
for real.
What?
It feels like just a couple years ago he was doing Die Hard videos, movies.
Yeah,
Right?
for real.
So back to Val Kilmer. It's interesting that Bruce Willis has a deficiency of the mind that's causing him not to speak. Val Kilmer has a deficiency of the body. He literally has a trachea. Well, not a tracheotomy, not literally, but his voice box doesn't work after a surgery all too well, and Brendan Fraser was silenced just because of society. So all three had their voices cut off.
I feel like, and
One literally
that's
though.
an ultimate form of punishment, or neutering someone is taking away their ability to speak or communicate. Like,
So
Oh
what
yeah.
would be worse, do you guys think? Would it be worse to have your physical ability to have your voice cut off, or would it be only say certain phrases, or would it be you can speak as much as you want, but nobody's gonna listen to you?
I would rather be
What
able to
would
speak as
be
much as I want, no one to listen to me, because that already
Honestly,
happened.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
That
like, if I
already
couldn't
happened.
speak, bro, I'd lose
And
my
I love
mind.
singing. I really truly love singing. If I couldn't sing, I would. That's another thing
Yeah,
too.
bro,
A
like
question I always get asked: would you rather be blind or deaf? I would absolutely rather be blind. If I couldn't listen to music, I would be fucking horribly miserable. I don't give a fuck if I don't have to see this ugly ass planet anymore. If I was blind, but I could still hear music, I I would rather judge people based on personality anyways than looks. Honestly, I could give a fuck. Well,
That's a
well,
good point.
like, the only thing you'd really miss out on is, like, nature scenery and, like, seeing your loved ones, but they're still your loved ones, and it's not gonna fucking kill you to not be able to look at them. But I feel like it would kill me to not
So
be able to hear music or hear their voice or
it's interesting to bring that up because a lot of what people think you're like, you can probably ask Keanu about this, but not Kiana, not Keanu. Sorry,
It's
don't
alright.
don't DM him, man. Don't
I mean, you could ask
Keanu.
Keanu.
He probably would actually get back to you. He might,
This
but
seems like a cool ass dude for real.
Yeah.
he is. But I was gonna say the actual act of looking at a person's face as you're talking to them, looking into their eyes, it releases certain endorphins, certain signals in your brain. Not saying that blind people don't have that, but if you are going from a place where you've developed from like seeing all your life, and then you suddenly like, I feel like it would be a very large change, but it's interesting to bring that up. A lot of people that I've met that are totally blind are really like chill, and I feel like
Yeah.
that might have something to do with it, that they're not always looking at other people's faces and trying to determine what they're thinking. Like your mirror neurons aren't constantly firing or anything like that. Like, but that might just be dealing with trauma and just kind of working through it as well. Like dealing with that deficit makes you grow up real fast, I
It would
feel.
definitely be more difficult as well to live the majority of your life with sight and then lose it than it would be to be born without it. Because I feel like you acclimate pretty quickly. Because the thing about being a child and dealing with adversity is children, not they learn faster, their brains are still growing. So if your brain is still growing as you're dealing with adversity, it'll grow with that adversity and you'll have ways to cope with it. Whereas if you've already got a fully formed brain and you've spent 20, 30 plus years using
Those
something,
neural
losing it
pathways
would
are
be like
already,
cutting a leg off, literally.
Yeah.
yes. And just the retraining of brains in younger people is a whole lot easier. They're a whole lot more resilient. Um, that's kind of interesting that you bring up a child brain. That we bring up a child brain. Braxton,
Uh-huh.
do you play video games? I know you
Yes.
mentioned Escape from
Yes.
Tarkov. Okay,
Yes.
so do you get angry at video games?
Fuck yeah.
I agree. I do too. Recently, I've been doing a dive into trying to find out why I get mad at certain video games in certain
Mhm.
ways. So I wanted to speak to you guys about this. If I'm playing a single player game and I get ticked off at myself, like there's usually a pretty solid reason behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can pinpoint what's making me mad. Like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. But when I'm playing online multiplayer games, I get so angry. Like,
Yes. Yeah, I
so,
feel that.
so angry, and it's on a different level. And I was just trying to deep dive into, like, those are, I feel, two different types of anger, and I wanted to know why. So I wanted to first hear
So
your guys' point on it, and then, yeah, go ahead.
my opinion on like the two different kinds of like anger. I think it's all rooted in pure dopamine. Is we associate video games with a dopamine rush. I mean, I follow the fucking dopamine. So like, there's certain games like Star Citizen. It is a game that it is the reason I got a PC because when I saw the videos and gameplay, it was just a pure rush of dopamine. And then I tried the PvP shit, got slapped, got all pissed off. It was because I was lacking the dopamine that I had associated with the game when I first started playing in like the multiplayer PvP game modes. It was like I expected to go in, be able to get these kills, rank high up on the leaderboard, do great, and it was just going to be like pure fun. But then I realized I've never played this game and I'm shit. And then on single player games, it's a completely different for me. It's a different kind of like dopamine rush. It's more of like an exploration. Like, this is just kind of cool to see the world. So
Yeah.
if I get pissed off at a game, like a single player game, it's because maybe I pressed the wrong button or I didn't make a jump or some shit like that. So it's more of like a inconvenience than it is. I feel like I'm not getting the dopamine that I thought I was gonna get.
So,
Okay.
for me, I agree. I will say, the only time I've ever gotten mad at single player games in my entire life was when I forgot to save or I made a mistake that I'd never make just because I had a
Yeah.
lapse of focus. However, I get angry every single fucking time I play a team-based video game and I have to rely on other motherfuckers. The second I have to rely on someone else, I start to get angry because I'm like, okay, if it was just me, this wouldn't have happened. But I have to wait. I have to hope this motherfucker does their job. And when they start not doing their job, I start to be like, God, fuck, if I could just get one normal fucking human being to play with me. And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's not anything to do with anyone else. It's just I fucking can't handle relying on other people. I haven't been able to do it my whole life. I don't like relying on others, and that specifically translates when I'm playing like Overwatch or Apex or something, and I end up
Yeah.
yelling at my friends even though I'm not bad at the fucking game. I just hate that I have to even like rely on them at all, and it makes me angry that I have to rely on because there's times like, for example, when we play Overwatch, it's a very team-based game. Like, even if one role of your team is bad, you're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You're just fucked. And so a problem that Griffin and I have is we play with our buddy Greg. Shout out to you, Greg. You're on here all the time. Greg has this wonderful fucking ability to not focus on anything he's doing because he likes to text and he likes to fucking listen to music. And we'll get in a literal competitive match, like competitive ranked match. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Abe. I was just texting my girl." I'm like, "What
But
the
that's as a
fuck are you doing?"
response. That's as a response to us also dealing with a situation that's very frustrating. Like, we just lose a point or we just die, and it mostly is because Greg is just standing there because he got a text and he immediately put his controller down, didn't say anything, went silent.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
worst one,
It's
this happened
fair.
the other day. I really fucking made an ass out of myself because our whole team was getting fucked by a single Reaper. I was playing Hog, trying to counter the best I could, but they had a pocket on the Reaper with Mercy, so I would hook, headshot, melee. Still not enough to kill because they have a pocket Mercy. It's impossible to kill like that. So this Reaper's killing our whole team, and Greg is right beside me, and I'm fucking playing Hog, and he's playing
76.
Soldier. Yeah, he's playing Soldier 76. I hook, headshot, melee. Reaper has one life. I watch Greg run right between me and the Reaper and start shooting the fucking wall. Literally shooting the
Oh
fucking wall.
my
And then he
god.
pops his fucking tack visor and starts shooting nothing. He's literally not killing anyone. And I go, Greg, what the fuck? Turn around, you stupid motherfucker, for the love of fucking God. He's right there. Can you please fucking shoot anyone? And he's like, I'm going to need you to calm down. And I was like, no, I can't calm down because I'm trying to fucking enjoy the 1 hour a day I get to play video games, but I can't because our team is getting shit on the whole time because you're shooting fucking walls and shit. And I just like fucking started to lose my temper so bad, and I can tell when I'm making an ass out of myself, but I can't stop it because I'm too angry. Like I get to a point with competitive video games where I have to rely on others, where even if I'm doing the best I possibly fucking can and it doesn't matter, that's where it bothers me. Whereas a single player video game, like you put me in a solo free
Yeah.
for all, I'm fine, dude. I almost never get angry. I have a great time. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this is. And if
Hell
I fuck
yeah.
up in a solo player or a free for all or anything like that, if I fuck up in that, I will straight up be like, damn, he did better than me, or damn, I didn't do good. I won't get angry about it. I'm just like, okay, I didn't do that good. I can do better next
Yeah.
time. It's just something about having to fucking hope other motherfuckers do what they're supposed to do that just it boils my fucking blood so much.
and that is that it's good that you have looked at it and pieced together, because a large part of gamer rage that I've been reading up on apparently is the what's the term for it? It almost sounds like synesthesia, but it's not. Lexithymia. It I don't know why I thought it was synesthesia, but lexithymia is basically when you experience one emotion through kind of a lens, whether that be a societal lens or a pressure lens that you put on yourself, like a certain cookie cutter, like this is what happens, this is your response. And
Yeah.
with gamers, that's rage. But
Mm.
when it's, say, they lose a game, um, the rage that they're experiencing is just like overpowering and blinding. But that is also because your brain is dealing with uh, lots of different emotions. Like you're not only mad, but you're sad that you lost the game. You're a little bit insecure because you're wondering, is there something that I could have done? And even if you're not actively wondering, like if there's something I could have done, that's going on in the back of your brain.
No, it happens every single time I finish a game. I think, oh, I could have done that. I could have done that. I could have done that. But it just doesn't
I
help.
It does that to me too. I do that as well. I would say, like, oh, if I just would have, that's my bad. Like that's
Should have
a
hit fire there
common
instead of
trope.
aiming down sight. Should have fucking switched guns instead of trying to reload. Should have strafed.
Hmm.
I think of those things like every time.
So you're worried, you're sad, you're worried that you could have done something better. You have animosity towards your friends, the
Yeah,
people
because
that
you're
you're supposed to like.
betrayed because they fucking AFK and shoot walls and shit.
Hell
Exactly.
yeah.
So that there's also there's actual getting mad at your friend because you know they did something wrong. And then there's the question about why they did something wrong. And that it also creates an insecurity of the friendship, to be honest. And it's really it's stupid to think about, but it it is in the back of your mind, and it is one of those things that's just kind of like a tally mark that ticks in the back of your head. Like if you game with a dude every day and he's unreliable when you're gaming every single day, whether or not you consciously think about it, it is going to weigh on your basically not personality, but your opinion on them.
Yeah, your
So
analysis
Yeah.
of their kind of character.
yes, and all those emotions are lumped into a high stress situation that has most of the time very little windows of peace in between. So in Overwatch, for example, you can have a team fight, lose a point, and be in a new part of the map defending that point with the highest level of stress because now it's the last point.
Yeah.
So the just the whole structure of it is to amp up, but amping up without that proper channel, the proper digestion to say like, oh no, wait, it's it is a game. A lot of this is RNG. There's I probably could have done something different, but in the grand scheme of things, I'll probably get to again. And again, with the like, if you went through each of those points and you really thought about it, you could dive down and get to the point where it is just for enjoyment, and being worked up
Yeah.
about it is hard. And that's the part where I think I got to a while ago when I was playing League of Legends, and I brought this up to DJ and you, Logan, a while ago, and it I was getting so mad, and then I would like literally have heart palpitations playing that game in a full sweat. And I like kind of sat back. I was like, why? One, why am I playing this? And two, why am I getting worked up about it? Because yeah, like why am I doing this to myself? And I feel like that is the point where you're at as well. Like if you're at a point where the enjoyment of the game is overpowered by that mounting um, I want to say tidal wave of emotion that gets brought up every time something happens. Because don't get me wrong, that tally mark that I was talking about is also what I'm referring to in the form of a tidal wave. Because you don't get to deal with that anger, it a little bit of it builds up, and
Hmm.
that's just the way humans work. But I thought that was
Yeah.
quite interesting because when you do start a new game, I feel like there's a way larger capacity to forgive your teammates or to not get
Yeah.
pissed off at
It's funny.
something that's gone on.
Like at the beginning of Overwatch, when people would fuck up, like, ah, that's hilarious, dude. That was funny as hell. It's all right. And now when people fuck up, I'm like, dude, I have 1,300 hours in this game. I don't fucking need you to be wasting my time. Like, why are
Yeah,
you fucking up right now? But then it
that's
goes to
actually.
say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's what directly led to me selling all my consoles. Like I quit playing video games like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't think I've played a single one, maybe one with you guys in the past 2 or 3 weeks, maybe two. I've like
Yeah, just
actively
that
trying to
Overwatch match when Greg was running against the wall.
yeah, I've been actively trying to sell like all my consoles and replace them with fucking fishing stuff and like stuff for my bow and arrow.
Hell yeah.
And that stuff is not gonna piss you off. So good call there.
Yeah, honestly.
And another part of it, part of all that string of things, is you get to a point where you're also now thinking about it on a bigger scale, where you're like, oh, do I not enjoy video games anymore? This hobby that I've put thousands and thousands of hours into and spent money on building like a PC or buying a console that I invested my money, my time into, and I don't enjoy it anymore.
Yo,
And that in itself is scary, and it for a lot of people becomes a um, what's the word when you have an investment and you want to get the most out of it?
I'm
like
not sure.
liquidation.
Diminishing return, or not diminishing return, but like a
Return on investment?
well, yeah, you want to get the return out of your investment in time, but there's a certain word for it that's
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
buyer's remorse, more or less. Not buyer's
Oh
remorse, but
yeah.
when you buy something and you're like, oh well, I paid money for it, so I better use it. That sort of
God.
thing.
Buyer's guilt. Yeah.
I
Pretty
see.
Buyer's
I
guilt.
am not one of those people. I don't have buyer's guilt. If I pay for
So
something and I
Yeah.
don't like it, I just either throw that shit away or give it away. I don't
That's
like.
yeah. I'll get rid of
I'm
it.
referring to that in a term of time, though, because you can't throw out time. You can't like with money. You can be like, oh yeah, more money will come, but that time and you start to think about it. I could have been spending 1,000 hours uh, expanding my business, for example, or like learning how to speak Japanese, or
Yep.
Yeah.
um, literally anything
Nihongo
that
ga
Logan has
hanasemasu.
done
Yeah,
in the past 3 months. Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of shit, man. Since I've fucking slowed down on playing video games, the biggest time sink of my life, literally. Let me just put it in this terms. I have over 5,000 hours on Diablo 3. I
Bro, I
have
love Diablo 3. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I still play it from time to time. I have 1,300 hours in Overwatch. I've got several hundred hours in other games like Persona. I've got several thousand hours in Pokemon. I know it's well over 10,000. Like all these different games I've played. So I was doing the math. If I take all of the hours, let's just dumb it all down, consolidate it, and say I've only spent 10,000 hours playing video games, which is bullshit. I've spent way more than that. Let's say I've only spent
That.
10,000. Let's say I use an hour a day instead of playing video games to do something productive to grow one of my businesses or learn a new skill. That's 10,000 wasted days. 10,000 days I wasted playing video games instead of doing something that I could have, like, not saying that it's bad to play video games. I'm just saying for me personally, because it makes me so fucking angry, it is a waste. Like I really get angry. I know you haven't played games with me in a while, Braxton, but I make an ass out of myself because I've just hit this point. I've hit this wall with video games where there is no joy. Even when we win, like decisively, I'm not enjoying it because the entire
Yeah.
time like we're winning, I'm like I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm getting a fucking virtual ranking that says I'm better than these other people when really I need a fucking in real life ranking that says I can take care of my family and do this, this, and that. And like and the other thing that's really important that I want to bring up is with this me and Griffin talked about this with Griffin and I, excuse me, with the video games, the amount of time you spend in it is not recallable time. These aren't memories you can recollect. The
Hmm.
10,000 hours I've spent playing video games, I can't tell you 9,990 hours of it. However, if I
Yeah.
spent that same hour a day instead of playing video games going out and fishing or going out and skateboarding or going out and creating art or working on my website or meeting new people, those are things I'll remember. Those are memories that I can't put a price tag on. Whereas a video game, I can directly put a price tag on it, and
Yeah.
it's
So
not worth
after
what I'm spending.
After we talked about that, Logan, I gave it some more thought, and I really tried to be honest with myself and thought about times when I was playing video games where I could remember it as a joyous occasion. And could. I could remember a few times where in Ark Survival Evolved, for example, I spent 4 or 5 hours building something, and in a way that was kind of a form of art. But that was mostly the joy that I got out of it. It was taking that creative part of my brain and prodding it and poking it and making it all excited. It was great. But along with that, like I think there's certain games too that I'm always gonna maybe come back to just for certain times. Like
Dude, that's Pokemon for
Oh
me.
yeah.
I'll always play Pokemon until the day I die. I'm never selling my Switch or my DS or my Game Boys. I love Pokemon, man. That shit is the best time sink for me. I can mindlessly play that. That is like you were saying. That is one game I can specifically bring up every single memory from when I was a kid of when the new games would come out. Like my best memories in life, my actual best memory I can think of that doesn't involve that involves video games rather, was Christmas Day. I was laying in my dad's house. We didn't have any beds. We all slept in what he called a pallet in the floor. So it was me, my brother, and my dad. We all three slept in the living room floor on on top of two blankets, and that was a
that's
pallet.
cozy.
And it's because we didn't have any furniture and we didn't have anything in the house. All I had was a Nintendo DS that I had gotten for Christmas
You
the
had
year
Con
before.
Man,
Yeah, and I
so
had
you
Con
had
Man.
all you needed.
But I
Hell
was late.
yeah.
My best memory is my dad had just so DJ's stepdad Gary had just brought some speakers over for my dad and bought and built him a whole computer. Not a nice one, but one that could get him so he could get a job and shit. He could get on there and apply for jobs online and he could do shit. And my dad was playing fucking Christmas music over the speaker really loud. And my best memory is laying in that floor wearing a hoodie and two pairs of pajamas underneath the blanket because we didn't have any heat or anything. I was freezing to death playing fucking Pokemon Diamond. I remember it so well. I remember the team I had and everything, and I just remember thinking it doesn't get better than this.
It
Such a
doesn't get
lame
better.
memory, but I love it.
And
That's
I think
awesome,
we
man.
chase that memory. I think a lot of us nowadays, when we play video games, are trying to relive that, this is great kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, Braxton, is like your greatest excluding? Let me go ahead and exclude anything to do with our spouses. What would you say is your greatest sort of moment for happiness in an average week? Like, what do you do that makes you the happiest?
I thought you were going to say
Man.
time waster.
No.
Excluding our wives, what's the greatest time
Shooting
waster?
Man, that is honestly a hard decision, like a hard question. So, happiest, man, is
Still make music?
definitely, I was gonna say it's definitely either like music or I started fucking around with Unreal Engine a while ago and I've been like building some shit. So like creativity for me is definitely like my happiest time during the week, I guess. So
Your
it's
escape.
either music production or like world building
See,
on the
that's Unreal Engine, yeah.
Unreal, yeah. Like
My buddy
honestly,
got
if I could
sorry.
monetize my creativity, I'd take that over real estate or anything else just because it's, I mean, that's my passion for real.
That's kind of where I'm trying to get right now in my life. I create the art for the clothing brand, and then I making the podcast right now and the NFTs and stuff. I'm trying to get to a point where I'm entirely like self-sufficient off my creativity alone. I have
Hmm.
a little part-time job. I work on the weekends, and then I actively day trade and invest in crypto and NFTs and
Yeah.
other stuff like that. So I've got like a lot of streams of income, but I get what you're saying. The most fulfilling thing I think to me in the world would be to take my passion, which would be creating and monetize it. And
Yeah.
it's just so difficult to get that started. You really
Yes, it
have to
is.
have support, and a lot of people like to say, "I did it by myself." No, you fucking didn't. Creators
Mm-mm.
directly rely on support from people who
Yeah,
support them. I mean,
So,
100%.
supporters who support them do
yeah,
five
Support.
support.
It's
But
true. It's true. I know. I repeated myself a lot there, but you can't. None of these people would exist without some sort of
No,
system.
yeah, not at all. They gotta have somebody to support them to monetize what they do. I mean,
And it's all about what level of success you're looking for. If you can make $1,000 overhead, like that is what your take home is after everything in the year, but you're doing something that you love and you're in a place where you can basically chill there, like you're not in danger of losing your house or you're feeding your family, like that sort of thing, and you're at a
yeah,
point where you're doing something that you enjoy, but you're only clearing a little bit. I think that personally that is a goal. Like
yeah,
I'm not necessarily not motivated to make more than that. I would love to make as much as
That's your first
possible.
goal. That's your first stop. You got to reach that
it's
before you
Yes,
yeah,
can make more
yeah,
money.
but
yeah,
basically you don't want to be messed up in a position where you're making tons of money but you're doing something that you hate. Your life isn't what you thought it was going to be or something like
yeah.
that. You
That was a
No,
big problem
definitely.
I had multiple times. I have that with every job. Working for anyone else automatically makes me miserable because if I spent the same time, energy, and effort working for myself I did for these other companies, I could turn way more profit. It would be 100% profit for me. I wouldn't be
Hmm.
filtering it through, an entire chain of command down to me and I get the fucking trickle bottom of the hamster's fucking water bottle like just barely getting a drop here and there. I'm getting like, and that's what I love about specifically the podcast and the NFTs. It is 100% profit. Like I know
Yeah,
I don't spend any money on making the NFTs or the podcast. Like and they're entirely 100% return on investment. Like there is no
yep,
investment. I love that. And with the clothing brand, it's a little different. I barely make my profit margins aren't the best, but I genuinely enjoy creating the art, so I don't mind to not make much money, and it's really cool to see
yeah.
people wearing my clothing. Like I love when I'm out and about or I see on Snapchat and one of my buddies sends like, "Yo, check out what I'm wearing today," and I'm always like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that makes me feel good."
Hell yeah.
It's like it's my creation, and for people to share the enthusiasm of my passion enough to support me like that, to wear that out in public or to just like you know genuinely be happy that they own something I created, that is infectious for me. Like as soon as
Yeah.
I could be having the worst day of my life, and Griffin, for example, he could bought a coffee mug and a hoodie off my website, and I could be having the worst day of my life, and Griffin will send me a picture of him drinking coffee out of my mug wearing my hoodie, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm doing the right thing. I just got to stay the path. I just got to stay the path. It always like resets me to see that shit.
Hell yeah.
that's cool.
Well, speaking of that, it's getting long into this episode. Everyone, if you've got any projects you're doing, go ahead and shout them out. Braxton, what you got going on in your life?
Oh yeah, man. So outside of real estate and shit, I do have a clothing line that I'm gonna be dropping here in the next couple of weeks. It's called Bad Dream. Uh, you remember my cards, that whole line that I was trying to start in Johnson City?
Yeah.
It's all dark shit. I like dark colors, you know what I'm saying? Some twisted shit, so it's all some dark shit. I do have a bunch of NFTs that I've created. I haven't decided if I'm actually gonna drop them or not yet, so we'll see about those.
Well, I'll definitely have you back on here. I mean, we had a great conversation today. I'm sure you'll be a returning guest if you're interested.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm always, yeah.
What's the name
There's-
of your real estate company? Is there a way people can contact you in case they want to sell their house or so on and so
Yeah,
forth?
so reach out to me on Facebook, Braxton Stratton, or LinkedIn, Braxton Stratton again. You'll know it's me. I got a picture of me on the front. My company is called My Quick Property. If you go to LinkedIn, you just type in my name, I'll be the first one that pops up. I got a bunch of banners and shit on my profile. See, it's a bright blue background.
And that's Braxton
okay.
Stratton, BraxtonStratton, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Griffin, you got anything going on, or are you just going to be on here with me, loving me for the rest of your life?
Man, I am on a new thing where I am trying to eat apples as much as possible.
Well, fuck yeah, dude.
Interesting. Hell yeah.
As
But
always for
besides that,
me, or go ahead.
no, you were on it. You're on it, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as for me, as always, you can go to koseiteki.com, KOSEITEKI.com for my clothing brand. Not So Lucky Cats Club on OpenSea for my NFT project. And then you can always come here, 2 pieces toast. You know, you got to come here for your daily
Oh
dose. So
yeah.
don't get choked on your daily dose of 2 pieces of toast. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Braxton, Griffin, thank you boys for coming on here.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no
It was
problem.
beautiful. It was great to meet you, Braxton.
It was nice to meet you, Griffin.
Peace.
Peace.